You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 305, the Central Unit's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I am joined by executive video audio producer Dakota Davis / co-host Dakota Davis, who's out of breath because he just came running back across the studio doing all of the jobs because Zach, he's earned some vacation time. Dakota, how we doing?
Today I'm regretting moving all of the equipment over there. When it used to be right there, it would have been a lot easier.
The twice a year that it's in the way, that it's not perfect.
What an inconvenience.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't let Zach be on vacation.
Taking it out of Zach's pay, I can tell you that right now.
We're going to pay him with one pickle saltwater taffy.
Yes, one pickle saltwater taffy.
That is his pay this week. It could have been two, but he wasn't here. What do we got planned, Dakota?
Today's episode features Mr. Justin Lowhorn, and Justin is here from the Hoosier Automotive Group, formerly known as Hoosier Auto Repair, located here in beautiful Henry County, Indiana. We're going to be talking to Justin about how he got started, what his background is, his expansion into their brand new facility, their new building, all the things that have to do with being a small business owner and expanding into different areas. And then at the very end, Jeremiah and Justin and I were all talking. We might be talking a little bit about the submarine, but we're not quite sure yet. So just make sure you stick around to the end, and you'll see if you hear it or not.
We're gonna search the floor of the studio to see if we can find submarine talk at the end. This show is about our lives good Lord. This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you, other times we'll make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. We learned in Patreon. What, Dakota? What was our big takeaway on Patreon today?
Big takeaway for Patreon today was that saltwater taffy, although delicious, and pickles, although delicious, do not mix well together.
You're going to ruin Zach's prize. His pay. It's not going to sound nearly as amazing when I've got 500 miles of freight in this taffy that I brought back for him, and here you are poo-pooing it.
He'll enjoy it. Who knows? Maybe one of us in here actually thought it was good. You'll have to go to patreon.com/bosshogofliberty to find that out. That's where you could go to support the show on a monthly level. Every month. They start out at $5 a month. They go all the way up to $50 a month. You get access to show notes before the show starts, a Facebook group that is dedicated to you only, a bonus 20-minute episode where we do things like try dill pickle saltwater taffy, and a new beer that Jeremiah brought back from Canada. And allegedly, I don't know if that's a crime, so we'll just say allegedly. And
there's a lot of gray areas on what you can and can't bring back and forth and how much you're allowed to and how long you stayed. I'm not a lawyer, so no, I did not bring anything back across the border.
We'll have to get Sean Rao in here again, and he'll tell us. And sometimes you even get little gifts in the mail. We've sent stickers, large and small. We've sent postcards that had pictures, a collage of our favorite episodes. We've sent chapstick, and we've even sent free T-shirts. So I think it's well worth your while, and we try to do our best to make it worth your while and your money. And if you donate at $50 or more a month, you get a shout-out at the front of every episode. And those folks are Miss Christy Avery from all the way in Fort Wayne, Indiana, our favorite Norwex dealer. Then we have Mr. Jonathan Phillips, who is our favorite car dealer in the continental United States.
Favorite new car dealer.
New car dealer. Okay,
Thanks.
yeah, let's say that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's
Sorry,
all good.
Justin.
No, I get it.
I apologize.
No, I understand. It's all about the money. I get it.
John is also running for City Council District 2 in Newcastle, Indiana. I'm sure that he could use your support if you are interested in that. And, go check out his positions on things. And then we also have Mr. Anthony Meyer, who is He's trying to keep your packages on time now.
He's Mr. FedEx.
That's right.
He's a FedEx contract carrier taking him across the country.
Maybe he doesn't want us to say that.
Too late.
Yep, it is what it is. Such is life.
Yeah. He shouldn't have trusted us with his secret if he didn't want it out there.
Yeah.
We have microphones.
Also, merchandise. We don't have a store anymore because we wanted to cut out the middleman. So just send us a email directly to Dakota or Jeremiah at ballshogofliberty.com. You can send a voicemail to the website, or you can just drop us a DM on Facebook or Instagram, whichever suits your favor.
And if you send the DM to Facebook, Zach will get it and say, hey, somebody should look at that DM because I never do.
That is true. Zach
is the only one that monitors to see.
Zach all the time is sending us screenshots of the Boss Hog of Liberty inbox on Facebook. Yeah, I don't have the Facebook app. I don't have Facebook on my phone. And then Jeremiah doesn't check it. And Zach's just like, I'm not responding. You guys are the ones that are on camera. So
Zach doesn't get paid enough to respond. Listen, here's the way the car dealer thing works. I buy all my new cars from John over at Andy Moore, and I sold my most recent car to Justin so that it could be resold down at Hoosier Auto. So it's a it goes both ways.
Used cars only.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get.
Pull that mic in closer to you though, right up on you.
Okay.
Oh my God,
Better.
that's so much
There it
better.
is.
Yeah, I'm alive.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So I have a question real quick. So why do you choose not to have Facebook on your phone? Because
he has an
you're
addiction.
the 1%er.
yeah. Well, it's too much of a distraction.
That's fair.
Instagram is not as bad for me for some reason.
He just likes looking at sweaty dudes lifting stuff.
I get into
Get
my
it?
Instagram is tattoos, bodybuilders, world's strongest man, and that's about it.
Do you
really.
find that stuff motivational for you?
Oh yeah. I am. A lot of people. You hear a lot of people that will dog down on people like, oh, don't need motivation to like. I love corny motivational videos,
Right.
motivational posters. I love all that stuff. I feed off of it big time.
So when you're lifting in the gym, are you on YouTube like in your headphones, or are you on music?
Usually on music, but there's definitely some days where I need a little bit of a
just Beethoven,
a kick.
Mozart, just like classics.
No, no, no. In the gym, I'm a metal guy, and then I actually have a playlist that's for whenever I leave the gym to try to get me calmed back down.
Really?
Yeah, and it starts off with "House of the Rising Sun" by the Animals. Very slow melody, nice,
Just trying
easy.
to become undead on the inside.
Right, just trying to get a nice flow start to the day, moving from the gym mindset into a more calm mindset.
Yeah. So I do YouTube videos that you were talking about, the motivational cheesy stuff, whatever. But I listen to the YouTube videos that have like that epic music in the background, and then it has like somebody talking through it or something like that.
Yeah, I'm into those too.
Yeah, and then I don't have a cool down playlist though. That might be something neat to try. I usually switch to
nice.
something. I try to keep it fast. I try not to ever listen to anything that's slow or less energy. I hate country. I hate anything slow. I hate anything that's not very upbeat.
Well, I hate new country too. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's trash.
And so
Country music changed around 1995.
Couldn't even tell you when it changed. That's how much I listen to it. None.
My music is exclusively okay. I'm very exclusive to heavy metal or like Waylon Jennings, Marty Robbins,
Noted NASCAR driver.
that I didn't know that. I knew Marty because of Big Iron. I found Marty Robbins because of Fallout New Vegas, which is a video game about a post-apocalyptic world, and the song Big Iron is in that game, and I was like, well, this is a banger. So
Good word choice.
Marty
Big
Robbins.
Iron, yeah.
Marty Robbins was a gentleman driver. He was not particularly good at it, but he did have a number of NASCAR Cup starts. All right, so let's get to know Justin a little bit. You are becoming a prominent local businessman, one of the most popular auto shops in town, and you've expanded into the auto dealership side in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
But your background is in accounting, if I remember right, correct?
Colorful, yeah. So, yeah, I would say that my professional career started in 08, 09.
Great time to start a professional career.
For sure.
Especially in accounting.
Right. So I actually was a PT at Anytime Fitness, which is where I actually met my wife. And so I was there for
Was she a
couple
client
years.
or did she work there with you?
No, she was just somebody she was just there. And I was just either one, I was way too good looking where she couldn't pass me up, or I just got really lucky. And so I'm going to go with lucky.
You're a good-looking guy, Justin. Don't let
and
anybody
so,
dog you down.
I appreciate you. I'll let her know that you said that. She'll know. But no, it's nice to hear. Thanks. But no, so I did that for
Dakota looks at a lot of guys on Instagram. If he
Right.
says you're good looking,
No,
that is
that's
honestly
so
a huge
true.
compliment.
That's so true. I'm making an Instagram account
All about
now,
the
like
positivity.
fitness.
Dakota will like every picture.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. You'll be my one and only. But no, so I did that for a couple years, and then yeah, I actually I really went from that was really fun because I used to like people, but I did that, and then actually just that fell through, and I went and worked at a wiring factory in Richmond, Belden Wiring Factory. And I started there as a temp at like $9 an hour or something like that, driving to Richmond every day. But I met a lot of really, really good people while I was there. A lot of people that, were going places and, made a lot of good friends. And so started working through that, got hired on full time, started going back to school. And then, like you were saying, I went back to school and got my accounting degree. I went for, I want to say 5 years it took me, something like that, just going part-time, because by that time, I was married, had kids, and all that fun stuff. And so, yeah, I did that, and excuse me, and actually got a job in accounting at Belden. So, and then I ended up going to the corporate side for Belden, and then in 16, I went to Magna Powertrain as a cost accountant. And
Up in Funcy.
yes.
Not Magna
yes.
Tool, our friends at Magna Tool here, Magna Powertrain up in Muncie.
Yes. And closer drive, more money, all the things you want to hear when you change jobs. And again, great place to work. I had met a lot of good people there. And honestly, I forget where I was going. I remember like the picture in my mind of exactly where I was standing, exactly where I saw the 14th Street location that we just moved from. So I was at the Speedway gas station across the street, and I was on the second pump in, and my car was facing the street. I was pumping gas, and I saw there was a for sale sign in the window. And I remember talking to my dad about it, or calling my dad, or I can't remember who I said first, but there wasn't very many cars there, whatever. And I remember I stopped by and talked to him. I can't believe it was that same week or week after, something like that. And, I'd always been into cars, been into, track days, HPD stuff, tuning cars. I've had probably 50 plus cars in in how long I've been driving. And just, they were all
Worked on all of your own problems.
Right, yeah. And they were all modified. They were all, did a lot of my own stuff. Like most people that work on cars do, they start just working on cars. And, some guys are into the older stuff. I was always into the electronics and the newer stuff. And I had the accounting background, but, I kind of was tired of the whole four walls cubicle thing. That was, at the time, I was just kind of burnt out. And so, yeah, I remember going in and talking to him. And I think we ended up purchasing that like 3 months later or 4 months later after that, after we got all like the EPA stuff and all the testing done.
So was it operating as Hoosier Auto at the time? Or what was the business that you bought?
Yeah, so, well, people still call it that today. So it's funny. Some of our dealership accounts are still under Hoosier Brake and Alignment. And so it was that for 30 years or whatever when it was up on Broad. And so, Scott Kilgore owned it when I bought it. And at the time, he was yeah. That was
that
loud.
beer didn't come back and get you.
No.
Yeah. So he owned it at the time. He was working at Crown, coming in after work and just working on some cars just to basically pay the bills and stuff. And it was still Hoosier Brake and Alignment. And I think he had actually changed it to Hoosier Auto Repair, I believe, like just within the year or two, because it burnt down.
Yeah.
And then when they rebuilt it.
After it burnt down, it was Hoosier Auto Repair.
Right. Yeah, it was around that time. I think that's when they rebranded. So at the time, there was no alignment system or anything like that. So the whole alignment thing kind of went away. And, everybody was telling me, make it, Justin's Auto or whatever. Nothing wrong with that, but I wanted something that was more scalable. Because I, immediately didn't want to feel like I was trapped into.
You were just owning your job.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. At some point in time, if I ever wanted to sell this, I didn't want the reputation of Justin's Auto or whatever. It wanted to be something that anybody could buy and take over. So we did that. And, we kept the name Hoosier Auto Repair until March of this year, really. And theoretically, we still operate that page. We're still Hoosier Auto Repair. We've still got, that's where we run all of our coupons and things like that. But I mean, when we added the dealership this year, when we moved into our new location, that was, we did the group name, the Hoosier Auto Group, kept the wheel and all that, just so it was more covered it all.
Very good. So did you have all your own tools and all that? Like the barrier to entry to just getting into auto repair and having a customer facing auto repair shop sounds like, I mean, I guess buying the shop is how that worked out, or how
the real question is, did the Snap-on dealer transfer owners?
Yeah. So I've actually always been, and people make fun of me for it. But honestly, if it works, then it works. And what I mean when I say that is I had all my own, hand tools and things like that. And then when I bought the place, it came with, he had some stuff, the lifts and the equipment were there. A little bit of office equipment, I think I racked up I went all in. I think I racked up like $2,000 or $3,000 in credit card debt when I opened, just for like some machines and things like that. But I bought a used scanner off Snap-on. Then another repair shop here in town had traded in like a month prior. I bought everything I've bought until the last couple of years was I didn't just have to have the newest piece of equipment as long as it functioned. Yeah, as long as it functioned and did everything I needed it to do. And I was the same way with like all my specialty tools. If I'm going to buy something that only use once a year, I'm not paying $2,000 for it on the Snap-on Matco truck. I'll buy it on Amazon for $200 because I'm going to use it once a year.
We do have a Harbor Freight in town now too.
That's true.
It's where you get all the best jack stands.
Yes, exactly, and it gives you that thrill that I may or may not die. Yeah, and
it is the best place for those tools you're talking about. I need it right now, and I don't know if I'll need it again.
But the crazy part is it's all lifetime warranties. Who cares?
Right.
If you're 2 minutes away down the road,
if it
and you
snaps,
crack
whatever.
who cares?
I would rather use that spring off of an Indy car than a jack stand from Harbor Freight.
Well,
like I said, live a little. But
although if it kills you, it's not your problem anymore.
You didn't find any disagreements.
Nobody's.
No.
We're just trying not to get sued by Harbor Freight now. All right, so you picked up this place, and then it's the entire time I've known Justin, you've had this I want to grow mentality.
Sure.
You bought the 2017. When did you buy?
So it was, I believe, September 21st, 2018.
2018.
Friday. Yep. I left Magna at 5:00 and went to the closing at 5:30, and then I opened on Monday. I believe I opened on Monday. We were closed for a week. I cashed out my 401k, and I used that to pay our bills for like the next month and a half, like house bill and all that stuff. And but I think I opened that Monday.
You had no net at all. You just jumped in, no safety net. Just
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst part that could happen? I mean, if everything falls through, I still had an accounting degree. I've still got, there's always something to go back on, whether you think it's all in or whatever.
Right.
There was always something to go back to, and at the end of the day, it's just money. And when I say that, I mean, we didn't pay much for the business. I mean, to be honest with you, in today's realm of things, when we got that building, that corner, and this is, pre-COVID, pre-real estate hike, all that fun stuff. We didn't pay much for it. So at the time, it just seemed like, it
was something you could be comfortable with.
Yeah, there wasn't much to lose.
So you do that, and then I know you did some direct marketing immediately, because I think right after you bought it, Sarah and I got a oil change coupon in the mail and started coming.
Yes,
you did some direct marketing to folks.
It was $1,250. I put that on my credit card. Did that from Vistaprint. Yeah, that was the one and only time I've ever done a mailer, because I think one person brought it in.
Probably me.
Probably. Yeah,
it's probably Sarah's car. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the.
Trust me, you've made your $1,200 back.
No, yeah, for sure. I think I contemplated having you sign your name in the concrete when we poured it in there. Yeah, for sure. But I did some direct mark. And one thing, I've always been trying to do stuff different than what other people in town do. And I'm probably the youngest shop owner in town as far as your major shops go. And so, immediately I think a lot of that, just some of the other shops are missing that internet marketing part. And so, that's where everybody goes. What do you do when, well, not you, because you don't have it on your phone, but most people go to Facebook and, Google, whatever.
Google.
I am on Google. Yeah. But, they're scrolling Facebook, scrolling whatever. So, I mean, if people spend hours on that, then why are you not on that? Whether you hate it or not, or don't know how to use it, pay your niece or nephew or something $10 to put you on, Facebook or whatever.
To create a profile,
right.
Some sort of a landing page.
Right.
So what's been interesting for me to watch is how you've scaled the business up, because you can only work on so many cars yourself. You're adding people, you're adding, in that facility, you guys did an expansion almost immediately. Like you've had an eye towards growth that's been really impressive.
Sure. Yeah. And I owe a lot of that. So I did it for about 9 months on my own, answered the phone, worked on the cars. And that's where I met a lot of our long-term customers. And then it got to the point where it just wasn't feasible because of the growth. You just couldn't grow doing it your own. And then I hired on another mechanic. And then at that point, I actually had his wife come in and do the office work. And I learned a ton from them. It was Jeremy and Amanda Evans. And they're both local. But as far as, I knew the business side of it, and I knew how to work on cars. I knew how to diagnose cars just from the electric side. And just being around them. But as far as like the automotive programs in the industry, them two helped me like tremendously streamline my process, basically. As far as like learning, the better programs to use, something to help me get organized and help with the, just being efficient. But yeah, as far as scaling goes, I think we in 19 is when I hired on people. 20 is when we started building on the addition, which is, so we picked up the ambulance service for Newcastle and some for the county, which has kind of gone away as far as us servicing the county. But so that's actually why we built that addition on.
You built on to match an ambulance that they immediately got rid of.
They immediately got rid of. I know. And I even bought the lift to lift them too. And they didn't tell me about that, which fair enough. But that was horrible.
Are you familiar with this story, Dakota?
No.
So Justin has all the ambulances in town. He builds an extra bay onto his business so that he can take care of the ambulances because he didn't want to work on them in the parking lot anymore.
Yeah.
He buys the special lift to be able to get the ambulance up. And then no sooner than he finally finishes that bay, they replace the ambulances one with that will no longer fit in his brand new building, and he's back to fixing them in the parking lot again.
Yeah, so that was
it's my favorite small business growing pain.
$70,000 later, between the lift and the addition and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong.
It was still good for working on other vehicles.
Yeah, for sure. Because at that point, we could do dualies, we could pull in trucks, and that's where we put our alignment system because that's when we added the alignment system. But yeah, so they had, I think I had 3 diesels at the time that were only like 14,000 pounds. And so I bought a 15,000 pound alignment rack, and then, sure enough, man, they just bought 4 Dodges that are 19,000 pounds, 4-wheel drive. And it went right back to the parking lot. But fortunately, it didn't hurt us very much because they were new at the time. And now we've got the bigger facility, so it doesn't hurt us at all. But they were new enough at the time. We really didn't do much to them at that location. But so we added on that building, and we started that in 21. 20 and 21. We finished it in 21. And then right after that, we only had 30 parking spots at that location. You know what I mean? And that was including the mud in the back, and everything was limited at that location. And then then at the end of 21.
But you could walk next door and get a Jack's Donut.
That's true.
It was a happy little corner there, right? Because you had Jack's Donuts, you had Dairy Queen, you had a Pizza King, all right there. It was a magical corner of Newcastle.
I miss having a gas station across the street. Everybody that works there or had worked there, they would miss having a gas station across the street. So that's actually, I actually stock, just to keep everybody happy, I stock Monster Energy and Rockstar and water at our new shop that's free for the guys.
Wow.
Only just because they don't have a gas station to walk
when you're
across
trying to hire people, is this on the brochure?
Okay, I make sure we walk
Energy?
By it and just be like, those are for you guys. I just kind of mention it.
It's like working
easy.
at the Google of auto repair shops.
It's in the Indeed profile.
So, real story. So I actually had a interview at Moby Wireless in Indianapolis when I was changing jobs. And they legit had a kitchen there, and you were allowed 2 8-ounce beers throughout the day. And that was and that was the first time I'd ever heard or seen anything like that. And so that's it's just a step down from that.
Yeah, that's always been my argument. 1 margarita at lunchtime is not going to get me over 0.08.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 0.04
Good argument.
for CDL.
At my employer, there's a number in the handbook. And
Really?
it's fine.
Very nice. Jealous. I'm pretty jealous.
I've also never been breathalyzed at work. But if I have a business function that makes me drink, I probably just don't go back to the office.
We sure do.
Well, now working remotely for everybody, technically every job's probably capable of being something while you're on the clock or at work.
Yeah. Well, I know in the 80s, our Louisville office, it was completely socially acceptable to have bourbon in their desk. After 5 o'clock, you were good to go.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's an insurance agency in town where one of the agents has a decanter on his desk right now.
Can't confirm or deny that. So I assume, Justin, there was like this thought of like, hey, if I've only got 3 bays, then you're looking at the business saying I can only do so much revenue, I can only grow so much, and
Sure.
you're physically limited on what the business can do. But the growth is still incredibly fast because a lot of the shops in town are. They don't grow that fast in 50 years.
Yeah, I think some of that's by choice. I think there is some busy shops in town, and there's some other good shops in town. There's people have this notion that everybody hates everybody, but honestly, there's some good shops in town, and I think it's just they're happy where they're at. But yeah, for me, it's all about the end game. I want to build it as big as I can build it for 4 to 5 years, 10 years, whatever, and then sell it and move on to something else. Because that's what it is. It's just building a foundation. But yeah, so we had 30, going back to what we were talking about, I had 30 some parking spots at the other shop. And now we have 127, something like that. And it's always geared towards the people who have the easy jobs, you know what I mean? Like the easy, like my brakes are grinding, my caliper's sticking, whatever. They can't wait. They can't wait a day or two, like we were talking before the show. And we were booked out at the old shop 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Guys just couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up with the phones. And a lot of that just, I think, stemmed from our customer service and just being new and putting our name out there. Because honestly, that's what we're known for, is our customer service. And
you're probably the only car dealers or car service shop in town that has pool vehicles or customer cars.
Oh yeah, you mean like the courtesies
and
stuff? Yeah. So that was so always looking for something to differentiate yourself, right? I don't know if anybody else has ever tried it, but yeah, I mean, basically that was just looking into, what kind of insurance can I get, whatever, and looking at what can I put on the road that's cheap to fix, that I don't care if somebody beats up, that looks nice. And then it evolved from there, because I think we started out with some different ones, some cheaper ones, and then we got up to like 3, I think, at one point, and then, started having problems, got rid of some, whatever. But yeah, I mean, and it's crazy, talking about the growth thing, and we're still, like I told you before, we're booked out, 2 weeks again, and we're 5 technicians deep and 2 people in the office and me, and it continues to grow, to this day, just to where should have built the building bigger already. And that's a good problem to have, but it's a problem nonetheless, because people honestly they get aggravated when you cannot get them in, like they do, like legitimately get mad.
No, I mean, I can tell you, if your brake caliper's sticking, it can wait a little bit. Just the next red light or stop sign, slam the brake pedal to the floor.
Yeah,
and you're good for another couple miles.
Yeah, well, if you don't stop, something will stop you. So you
can always use your transmission to shift.
Yeah, something.
You can slow down.
Yep.
But
and that's what car insurance is for, Dakota.
Yeah, it's like the boat insurance too. You know what I mean? That's what it's for, man. Is if you wreck something, right, it's all good.
We all know, like, that's if you use your insurance for something, it just stays the same rate usually. They don't wind up making you pay for it in the long run anyway. So yeah, it's great.
So you decided peak COVID, when the car industry is going insane,
yes,
that you're going to start a car dealership on top of it.
So we always get the questions of, what do you guys have for sale? And to be honest with you, our car lot was always the biggest reason people thought we were a car lot at our last shop is just because the lot was always full, whether they were cars waiting on engines, waiting on transmissions that would sit there for 2 or 3 weeks or whatever.
Because you couldn't turn stuff instantly. There was a waiting period.
If somebody wants a brand new engine and they want it from, I only want my engine from O'Reilly Auto Parts, and it takes 6 weeks to build. I mean, the car just sits there. You know what I mean? Their engine's blown. And people passing by don't know what's going on. They just see a car sitting there. And
this is Newcastle, so it's got to be a Ram. I need that Jeep or that Dodge or whatever that's sitting there. I got to buy it. And
and they just thought that we were a car lot. And so, a ton of people would stop by like, hey, what do you guys have for sale? And every once in a while we have something, that a customer didn't want to fix or whatever. But really after that is when I was, I wanted to take the next step to, I saw an open market really, because you have, you got the Hublers and the auto farms selling, your higher end 1 or 2 year old vehicles, that are, $18,000+, and you've got who knows how many corner lots in town selling everything from, $4,000 to, so I always thought that there was a market there for your 100,000 miles or less, 10 years or less car that was, 9 to 14,000, whatever is, you know what I mean? And
there's still some good life left in it.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to pay that premium for that, that new car, but you don't want something with 150,000 miles on it because you only drive 5 a year. And so if you buy something with less than 100, it may last you 10 years. And so, it's kind of I'm learning that target market it's there. And I think a lot of it's just because we aren't as known for a car dealer yet. But those cars are probably the hardest ones to find, is because by that time they've either got major issues and you already know about their issues. That's why I'm the worst person to buy cars, because when I go to the auction, I'm like, that car's a piece. That car's a piece. That car's going to have this issue. Can't buy this one because I'm going to buy it, and then transmission's going to go out in like a month. And it's the worst thing knowing all the problems that cars have and then trying to buy cars. It just makes it hard.
That's only if you care about the people that are buying your cars, though.
Well, you have to.
Sounds like,
right.
You're selling cars in the town you live in, too, right?
Yeah.
Like your reputation, and your customer service is it's got to be at the top, because there's only so many people in this community.
Oh, for sure.
You have to have the good reputation, or else it's not going to work very long.
Yeah, and I've probably given away 4 or 5 sales in the last month just from over information, but honestly, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I'd rather tell you about it, you be comfortable with it, so we've had this conversation, And then if it goes wrong, we both already know we already have a plan in place. We already know either I'm going to do this, cover this, or you're going to get the warranty and it's going to cover it. So don't worry about it. The warranty was $300, whatever. And yeah, so that 5-minute conversation we had before you bought the car saved us an hour-long yelling match, later. And
you screwed me. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And what I tell everybody is it just saves a bad conversation. And I may lose 2 sales and get the 4th win or 5th win, or it may be 2 weeks later, but I don't have to have the bad conversations.
Yep.
And
so how about the market for cars in the post-COVID? We went through this deal where interest rates have gone crazy, used car values shot way up. You're trying to find inventory. Has it been what you've expected in the as a used car dealer?
So what I tell everyone, because I get asked that question, probably every other day, as far as like, hey, you think cars are going to come down or cars are going to change or whatever? And honestly, 6 months ago, 6 months ago, I was still seeing at auction what I would have expected to pay retail for that vehicle. It is slowly coming down. I think over the next 6 months, we're going to see, I think today's $14,000 car 6 months from now is going to be a $11,500, $12,000 car. But I think that it really just depends on how the economy goes. I think I may, and I'm actually, I haven't told anybody this, so, but I'm looking into actually doing a buy here, pay here section for our dealership, because honestly, interest rates right now, you have people that just don't want to pay 10% interest, 12%, 14% interest on a car because it's 6, 7, 10 years old.
Yeah. Well, to my eye, there's so many headwinds that make, I'm very risk adverse, right? This is why I work for a corporation, and I probably, I'm not sure. I'm in admiration because you've taken some very real risks, and you're obviously successful with it, but you've got the headwinds of you have to go out and buy a car that you think is worth 14 today, but oh my God, I've got to sell it because it might, they don't appreciate sitting on your lot, right?
No. So we have a floor plan. So once you get cash built up enough, people think that they get charged. First of all, let's start over. People assume like when they go buy a car, like all those little fees and like, oh, I'm overpaying the dealer price. The amount of money it takes to like field a car like a nice car, if you're going to truly sell it with no problems, the amount of money it takes, like, but between advertising it, so to list a car on Car Gurus, if you want to list more than 10 vehicles, it's like I think it's $800 or $900 a month is your subscription to Car Gurus. Cars.com's $400 a month. Carsforsale.com is $100 a month. You know what I mean? Like,
you've got a tremendous amount of overhead.
Oh my gosh, it's
if
nuts.
You sell 12 cars, even if you just do 12 cars a month, you got $100 in each car in advertising.
Yeah, the first car or two that I sell a month may pay for my advertising, maybe. But my initial goal for the dealership is just to make my building payment. The service side is obviously busy because of where we've been, and so really the only thing I took on was that building payment when we built that building. So if the dealership can make the building payment for me, I'm good. Which I got to sell maybe 8 to 10 cars a month, and it's just me selling cars, and so it's not a huge deal. But yeah, so to answer your question, so we have a floor plan. We buy the cars on, this floor plan, and we pay curtailments on them. So we pay curtailments of like 12% on 60 days, and another 12% at 120 days. If not, have to pay the car off, or send it back to auction. You may take a loss because, like you said, the car depreciates as it sits on your lot. And so I make my own rule that I don't break is if a car is going to sit 60 days, and I've only had one that's getting close, I'm going to send it back to auction. I'm not going to just hold on to it. So I think as long as you have set rules in place that you don't break your own rules type thing, it's not as big a deal. But I could definitely see where dealers get in trouble really fast. Somebody hands them a $500,000 floor plan or something, or they've got really good credit or history. They go out and buy 50 vehicles, and they sell 3 of them, and then they're stuck with $10,000 in curtailment payments. It can get overwhelming quick.
Really ugly.
Yeah.
What's the car that sells in Newcastle now? Like this market. I joke about it being a
You mean price wise?
Well, no. Like is it a Mopar? Is it really a Mopar town, or is it
No.
just a what matters? What do people want?
Honestly, people want Kias and Hyundais, and I don't know why.
Are they broken? These people, not the cars.
No,
the people.
You get a ton of people that just want that. If you get a Honda on your lot, because we refurb other dealer cars and that don't have service shops.
Yeah.
We refurb their vehicles so that we'll have vehicles sitting on our lot that look like they're for sale, but they're being refurbed. And oh my gosh, the people that ask about Hondas is ridiculous. SUVs always sell.
I sold you the most generic Honda ever, and it took way too long to go.
That guy, I say he's a kid. He's a kid to me. But the guy that bought that loves that car. Absolutely loves it. He was actually in there yesterday, is what I was told, getting something looked at. But yeah, he absolutely adores that car.
Good.
And that's why, is because Honda has a reputation of being a good car. And so people love them. But as far as Newcastle, honestly, people like Chevy Cruises.
See a lot of Chevy Cruises.
Yeah,
around.
Chevy Equinox. Those cheap SUVs that people just need that SUV space, but don't need that higher end vehicle. And the Equinoxes are kind of that economy SUV. And so yeah, I mean that's.
Is there something you truly hate?
Oh man, I hate all cars. I do because they all have, and that's horrible. You can have two people go buy the same car, same day, same dealership. One is just going to have a crap ton of problems. And one will change the oil every 5,000 miles, and it's perfectly fine.
Yep.
And so when you say hate, man, all cars.
Because I hate the Jeep Cherokees, right? Not the Grand Cherokee, the Jeep Cherokee. Hate it with a passion.
But do you hate the look, or do you hate the mechanical part of it?
Operating it, driving it, sitting in it. I had one as a rental. There's one that's plated in Michigan that's here in town.
The new ones?
Yeah. Well, I had a rental vehicle from Enterprise here in town.
Yeah.
Cracked windshield, smelled like weed, torn up on the inside, 65,000 miles.
Yeah.
4-year-old vehicle, but it's a new it's still a rental running around. So I assume that's the current model.
Right.
And then last year on vacation we rented a Grand Cherokee. I just don't get along with them. Like any Jeep at all, which is sacrilege here in Henry County in a Chrysler town.
Sure,
but I cannot. It's like right hand drive to me. Just doesn't compute.
Yeah.
I love the old 2-door Jeep Cherokees.
How old?
Like 1990? What are we talking?
Yeah. Well, when was the last time they made a 2-door Cherokee?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of the year so I can picture it in my head.
They're not super common, but whenever I see them on the road, it's just
like same era as a Jeep Comanche pickup truck, like back when they made those.
So I had one of those. It came with the shop when I bought it, and actually used it as a scrap truck. And a guy bought it and redid it from the ground up.
I love the Jeep trucks too. Yeah.
And that truck came out super nice.
Yeah.
He brought it by and had me look at it, and it was super nice truck.
My brother had a Comanche, and it was the only Jeep I've ever liked. It was a little stick shift, especially the S10, but
they called them
the Mopar
XJs.
version.
Yeah, XJs. 1983 to 2000.
I still can't picture it then.
It's just a Cherokee. It's a Cherokee with 2 doors.
But it's got 2 doors.
Oh, okay.
It's a coupe.
Yeah.
A Cherokee coupe.
Yeah, that bad boy.
Yeah.
I love those cars, especially that red.
Well, you could do pretty much anything to them, and they'll keep running. And now if you look at a Jeep the wrong way, it throws a check engine light.
The seating position of a Jeep is wrong to me. You're sitting down too much. You're sitting flat. It's like you're sitting in a race car. Like to me, a Jeep should be. It's an SUV, so you should be seated upright. You're leaned back too far. Your ass is on the ground. You're in an SUV, and
it's
you're
an SUV
prone.
that you sit in it. Like
your legs are extended. Yeah,
it's a sedan.
Yeah.
Do you like the Gladiators?
I haven't been in one yet. Or a Wagoneer. I can't afford to touch a Wagoneer, so I'm afraid to get near one.
I've had that conversation with Chrysler techs that have worked on them, and I'm not they get a good one, but there's a crap ton of problems with those. And when you're paying
more than most mortgage payments in this town,
no kidding, man, like $100 and some odd thousand.
Audrey and I,
my
wife, we went to the local Jeep dealership here in town, and we had nothing else to do, and it was like
this is Bash Jeep night on Boss
It's like
Hog,
a quarter
everybody.
till 7 in the evening, So we were like, let's go just look in the windows of the Wagoneers. And because I've been obsessed with the old Wagoneers for a long time, especially if it's got the wood paneling. But so it was like, let's just go check them out. And we didn't realize that they were going to be open till 7 that night. I thought for sure, they're not going to
could go unbothered.
You got trapped.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got trapped. You want to take a test drive? We could get you in this. And I'm like, no. It was insane. I told the guy, I was like, it's like way out of our price range. Well, we might be able to work with you a little bit. And I said, if you could come down about $45,000, we could maybe do something.
Yeah. So you're one of the. I just had this conversation with somebody that looked at a car with me earlier today. Looked at our 200. Like, people are so afraid to get caught at a dealership talking to salespeople or something like that. Like, it's like I swear I'll get 30 more people that'll want to test drive a car or see them looking at a car if I park it outside. But God forbid that they go in the showroom to look at the car on the showroom floor. Like, half the time I'm helping in the service side or talking or I'm doing something, and you know what I mean? And so, like, no one really bothers anybody, but you know what I mean? Like, there's such a horrible, like, view of, like, when you walk into a dealership and just the immense amount of pressure that you think you're going to get or think you're going to feel. And that people just carry that because they're so used to going into your franchise dealers and all that and just feeling that, that immense, like, they're all over you.
Yeah, I was like that the first couple of times, but if I'm genuinely looking for a vehicle, then I'm not like that at all because I realize that the ball is I'm the customer.
Sure.
The ball's in my court. I'm the one with the money.
Sure.
You have to win me over. So, I'm feeling pretty confident to talk to you. I'm going in because of the internet. I'm going into the dealership knowing like what I'm there to look at.
Yep.
I'm knowing the price that I have in my mind.
Yep.
So it's like everything on my end is already figured out. Whenever you come and talk to me as the car salesman, it's like yes or no.
More or less, that's the best way to put it. Is buyers are so informed nowadays that honestly, you're just there to answer like, has it been in any accidents? Unless you already paid for your own Carfax, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
No, it hasn't. Here's the auto check or whatever you want to put. Or hey, can I get the keys so we can like listen to it? That's really all you do because most people by the time they're there because they've already looked at it. They've already seen it. They've already decided they want. Yeah. Or they may not want that one, but they know they want that type. And yeah, that's 100%. That's the easiest way to sell a car too that I have found is just the no pressure, which is really what you should shoot for, is just the facilitating and answering like, here's the keys, look at it, you come get me when you're ready because you already know what you're there for. But
most of your customers have found a car and they're coming in because they searched for it online or they found it that way. They're not going in and say, hey, what do you have?
So, well, and that's what I was going to say. I have had customers that just need a vehicle. And they just want to know one, because, they know that we've probably taken care of it because of the service side or whatever. Or two is we're new and they don't really know if we have a website or whatever, which we do. We have HoosierAutogroup.com. And, but our inventory is so low because we just started and I don't want to drown myself in inventory. And then, like you said, it depreciates, can't sell it. But so they just want to come and see what we've got. And so those customers are actually the harder sell. Even though they don't know what they want, and so they're looking for anything.
Shopping
they're 100%. Yeah, they're 100% the hardest sell because
they're not in love with anything.
Right, exactly. So you can't find a hot button for nothing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yep. The car dealership doesn't scare me. It's the finance and insurance office that scares me. Those people that when they start when the warranties and the payments come out, that's where my danger comes about.
But okay, so when you guys buy a car, do you immediately feel like, no, I ain't buying that warranty for no reason. I don't want it, don't need it. It's a waste of money. They don't cover anything. Do you have that?
No,
predetermined
never been
notion?
that way. Actually, I was that way. I was that way whenever I bought my truck. But I haven't with the new vehicles that we bought, because my truck was like a few years old whenever I bought it, maybe 4 years old. So I wasn't. I was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to get the warranty, which I don't even know why. But also I was like 20.
Uh-huh.
So then when we bought the new vehicles for my wife, it's usually not like the first one that they offer, but then like spend some time researching it. And usually they have different types of warranties that they'll offer you. And I mean, you just kind of look at it.
Right.
And
Sure.
and then I think on one of the vehicles, I think on the Buick, I decided not to, because we also kind of had in the back of our heads that we weren't going to have that car for very long.
Sure.
And we didn't. So it kind of worked out. But then I think on the one that we just bought, not that we just bought, that we bought 3 years ago, we did get a warranty on it.
So here's the way that I sell my warranties, right? And this is what I would tell you guys just going and buying a car. You're buying a used car. No one's a fortune teller, right? So you can go through it all you want. Every starter's got one start left in it. Every battery's got a start left in it. Every oil pump's got one drive left in it. Something, right? So you're buying a used car, and for $500, and more than likely, you're going to know if that car is going to have issues within the first year or two. So I don't ever try to sell people like the 5-year, 6-year, 4-year warranties, whatever. But for $400, when you're buying
a $10,000 vehicle,
$14,000 vehicle, for $500, you're going to get a powertrain and AC and brake warranty for $500. For the next year, 14,000 miles. That's where that's the selling point to that.
There's some value in those.
Yeah, that's for sure.
The last 2 vehicles I purchased have been new, and my view is, hey, if I'm going to have something go wrong, I'm probably going to know during the manufacturer's warranty.
Right. Sure.
So it's like shooting at air. It's such a finite target. If I'm going to keep a car 200,000 miles and I've got a 100,000 mile warranty, well, am I going to have my problem? What's my likelihood of having my problem in that between mile marker 100,000 and 120,000?
Sure.
I'm gonna, I'm not gonna get that lucky. So I generally turn down an extended warranty on a new car.
Yeah, and I never pushed, or I never bought or pushed like you're buying a used car, and now on your, if you go buy like a Maserati, which I don't know if you're thinking about it.
I wouldn't do it on Henry County roads.
But just saying, no kidding. But so like the
You'd be
wheel and
living on
tire
your alignment rack.
Yeah, the wheel and tire packages and all that stuff. See, I can, but we don't even offer those, because at the end of the day, you can call alloy wheel repair, and they'll repair your wheel for like $200, $250, and you're going to pay $1,500 for a wheel and tire package or whatever. And that's the gray area for me, is like, don't want to push that stuff, because one, it's just not worth it to me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And two, the internet, like you said, so people could Google wheel repair, and it's like, well, you just charge me $1,500 for this, and there's a guy that'll do it for like $250. You know what I mean? And so it's that follow-up question, like, why did you charge me this much? And I don't want to, saves that bad conversation.
Yep. Because you have to, once again, you have to live here.
Yes.
That's the deal.
Yes.
All right. So let's, I guess, highlighting stuff so people understand. We haven't really talked about, I guess, there was one more major area that I wanted to get into, and that was actually the building facility and any of the permitting, all of the extra the outside factors as you're trying to go from, I have the idea, I'm going to build a new dealership and automotive group. You say, hey, where am I going to go? Because you're on 14th Street here in town. You're on State Road 103. Mm-hmm. You're looking around the community. How do you decide what site you're going to do, what the building looks like, all of that? That we never got into that.
So I actually I had a written offer in on the company that owned that property before the EDC here in town bought it. And the company turned down my offer probably 6 months before the EDC bought it. And so I actually had wanted this property for a year or more. And so I always knew I wanted to be on 3, but the locations, I looked at the location between Clancy's and Advanced Auto. There was nowhere on 3 in town that I could move and get busier, but I was busy to where I couldn't grow there. And so it was the same,
You
no
were gonna
matter
have the same
where.
footprint.
Yeah, same footprint, right. Yeah, I was going to be stuck at 50 car spaces max.
You needed to build a parking garage, yes.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Go up.
Yeah, and we're just like, those pay to park lots, and then once Boar's Head gets too big, maybe they'll just rent it, or TS Tech rent it off me. So I always wanted that lot, but so EDC bought it, and I can't remember if it was up for sale or if I just heard that they bought it, or I saw the sold sign or whatever. So I looked on Beacon, and then I got a hold of them and said, "Hey, what are you guys going to do with this property?" "Oh, hey, we're going to resell it." Well, I want it.
I want to be in line.
Right. And at that point in time, we didn't know at that point in time what they were asking for. It was probably, everybody's got to make money. I get that. But at that point in time, I didn't know all the issues I was going to have with building the building there, which is a whole other, like we could do 3 episodes of part 1, 2, and 3 of issues of building a building at that location.
So, I mean, just high level. I mean,
there was no utilities.
So you need water, sewer, electric to be able to exist. You need road access.
Yep. So Comcast, $48,000 if I wanted to have a hardwired internet there.
Yeah. Building lines is expensive.
Yeah. They would trench up to $20,000 worth of work or whatever it was. They said they would do it for a cool $48,000. So we ended up going with we use computers in Coherent Town, and we actually have Starlink. And
there you
so
go.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so we're one of like 2 or 3 people.
You're
that
a
do
satellite operated internet business.
Yes. And then we ended up having to trench. So we were talking before the show again. Our sewer had to trench from our building all the way to 400 up to the front of Boar's Head. That was the nearest main. And I can't remember where we got our water from, but it's the same thing with water. We had to do some water.
You'd think being on State Road 3, all the utilities would be there.
Yeah, you would think. And that was some miscommunication.
Getting a little close to Spiceland, though. So
Yeah. And that was some miscommunication at the beginning of what happened there.
So as a business owner, are you just stuck, or are you appealing? How does what you you got the property? What are you supposed to do? How do you maneuver that?
So honestly, I just started calling around to different construction companies. Said this is what I'm thinking about doing. Once start getting quotes. Got a few quotes. Called the bank. Said, hey, this is what I'm quoted. This is, the land's already paid for. I've already, more or less I was buying the land out of pocket. And we all rolled it into one loan, but pretty much I was going to own the land. And so, this is the total for the project. And really, that's pretty much it. When it gets hairy when building anywhere on a state highway, like you said, you want to touch on that. The right-of-ways. We're going through the hydraulics part of it right now. So like where our water drains, like into that big ditch, going through that right now. As far as our parking lot actually had to be made as a partial retention pond. I say pond, but it's partial retention for the water before it flows out into the ditch, because it has to be held back some way. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
You can't just create all that water and dump it into the
right.
Into the common ditch. You've got to hold some on
you can't
your
shoot it out like of a small pipe and it goes. And so, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So, like, when I got that quote, I didn't expect to have to do these concrete underground drains that the state made us put in. That was, $200,000 worth of stuff that wasn't expected. And, people don't see that side of it, but you've always got to have that ability to, kind of, at this point, you're too far. You got to go forward with it. But there's a lot of unknowns that I would tell whoever's going to build on, make sure that whoever does your engineering, your drawings, make sure that they get all those approvals, this is what it's going to take, and have that stuff priced out, because, some of the stuff we didn't learn until we were halfway through the building process. Like, when we learned about the drainage, we already had the building like 35% done. Like, it was studs and, walls. And so some of that stuff kind of just, what are you going to do?
How about having, you open your business and then immediately you're in a construction zone?
Yeah. So that's fun. So
The state flower blooms.
Yes.
Congratulations, Justin. We love your business so much you're going to get a brand new road.
Right, sure. And I'm sure they did it just for me. Long term, it'll be nice because all of our test drives are obviously on that road for our cars. And so we have our own little test drive route where we can get on like bumpy roads and we take left-hand, right-hand turns and all that stuff. But it'll be nice to be able to hear like on a smooth road and actually be able to listen to the cars rather than paying attention to the cones, trying to dodge those. Cause now we've got to go up and basically go down to 103 or 400 or go down further to get on a smooth highway speed. Cause customer will come in, only does it at 75 mile an hour. Well, then you got to go 70, or then only does it at 65 mile an hour or whatever. And you're in a construction zone. And so, yeah. So, I mean, long term, it'll be fine. But currently people complain about it all the time.
Yeah. Remember when NDOT said that they were going to have 3 resurfaced mid-June? That's cool.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah. Have they started
NDOT's
yet?
really good at that.
Well, they're putting in culverts across the road.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think they're
doing
just
that too.
fixing the
Just wait until next year when they do right through the heart of town.
Are they doing
I don't live in
the
heart of town, but I live in Spiceland. So, it sucks.
I didn't know they were doing through town next year. They got to finish this first.
It's on the list. It's coming. The work is coming.
They've done all the outside things that lead to the heart of town first.
Right.
And then go, see how nice it's going to be. Just remember.
There was rumors that they were going to put a stop, which people may hate it, people may love it. There was rumors they were going to try to get a stoplight put in at 400 and 3. And that honestly is, I would both hands up for that because, honestly, it's our building is in the best place when you're coming north on 3 because you look like you're going to run right into it.
Yep.
But you go by it on that turn. So you're concentrating where you're driving and you kind of miss our cars that are for sale because there's so many cars there.
Yep.
You kind of miss what's for sale and what's not. And so if they put a stoplight there, that would be
there's
A-okay with me.
There's so much traffic there right now.
At what point do you start putting bows on the car? Are we going to have like a summer to remember sale?
I kind of want to buy one big bow just for that one customer that wants to buy a car for somebody else. But again, it's kind of like, I don't know. My cars are kind of in, like I said, that's that gray area where I may get a car in there that it's affordable enough for somebody to buy for like their kid's first car. They may
Here's your
do the
Corolla.
Bow. Yeah. I haven't had to put them out yet. I do have the SALE to put under the hoods, if I want to line them up out there. But
nice.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet.
That's a classic.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk one last thing here on the dealership side. Then we're going to get into submarine talk. Or whatever the hell. It's not called submarine. It's a something else. What's the coolest car you have on the lot right now for sale?
Coolest or just nicest?
Either or.
I don't know. None of them are like
I'll go
cool.
to the website and find out for you.
No, I'll tell you. Don't look. That's judgmental.
Dakota will pick it for you.
The best looking vehicle, I think, because my favorite color is red, is the Buick Encore we have, the 18 Buick Encore. Because it's just, when that thing's detailed and it came back from detail, the color red is
Dakota's
phenomenal.
a big Buick guy.
And
love a Buick.
The nicest car we have is probably a Chrysler 200. It's loaded out with heated, cooled everything.
I heard those are imported from Detroit.
Oh, yeah?
I think that was the tagline back in there. Maybe it was the 300. The commercials were imported from Detroit.
That's probably one of the most popular cars, periods, the 300, because they look so good.
Yeah.
People kind of like the 200s, but man, if I get a 300 out there, people are all over it.
That's Henry County. That's a Henry County thing. What do you see as a daily driver that comes through the shop that's just like, oh my God, this is still out there? Like old Caravans? What do you see?
Oh yeah, you see old Caravans, old Jeeps.
Neons?
No, you don't see the neons anymore. Honestly,
Cobalts, Chevy Cobalts.
Yeah, we still get the Cobalts. We still get the G6s every once in a while.
The Grand Prix.
Those are going away.
A few surviving Pontiacs.
Yeah. Honestly, as far as like old stuff that's still on the road, the Ford Fusions, the old 08, 07 Ford Fusions.
Yeah.
Buick Teresa, the vans. Remember those? We've done a couple of those.
That was the Chevy. Was that the Chevy Uplander's Buick version?
Yep. And
Pontiac Transport, I think, was also in that family.
Yeah. And we get a ton of like, everybody keeps their truck, so we do get a ton of like the 04 to 08 trucks. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny that you say that though, because it's crazy that 5-6 years ago, the cars that we were seeing, that were tailing off, they have gone away. Like, you really don't. We've got a 98 Dakota there now just for a distributor issue. But as far as like pre-2000s.
No Saturns running around anymore?
I saw one Saturn the other day. It needed a AC compressor, but it was a clean little car. And, but no, other than that, like.
Things that are abandoned, Oldsmobile, Pontiac.
No, you don't see those.
Eagles are gone.
You don't see any of the old Buicks anymore, the Roadmasters, the Rivieras. Gosh, my grandpa had Buicks forever, Rivieras and Roadmasters, and that's all I remember Buick-wise, not the new one, which didn't they have a tagline? It's not your
grandfather's car.
Yeah, not your grandfather's car or something. But
I think it was not your grandfather's.
Not your grandfather's Buick or something, which they're actually getting ready to redo their logo again. And I think they're going to ditch some of the circular part and just do like 3 flags. If you Google that,
I mean, honestly, we loved the Buick.
I like the color in the Buick. The 80s Buick logo with the red, white, and blue in it.
We had a 2020 Buick Envision for like a year, and it was sweet. That car was awesome.
It was almost the same car as my Terrain. And your Buick, you had you could turn off your start-stop feature, which I was envious of. Mm-hmm. All right, submarine talk. Dakota, have you been following?
Yeah.
Today's Thursday, and it's we found out today that the story did not end well.
The Office just got satellite TV, and Fox News plays on a loop. So they had been doing
sound on or sound off.
They had usually sound off. I mean, it's like either Fox News or like daytime TV, like Maury or whatever is on now. Those drama shows. But anyway, been watching all the pressers for it. And yesterday, it was like, the only thing I wanted to say on this is that yesterday he said the guy doing the press release for the Coast Guard said this is 100% a search and rescue operation. And they were talking about the banging noises that they were hearing that lasted for 3 minutes every 27 minutes. And so it was like, wow, like they're down there. And then on Twitter, all of it was circulating where they had the recordings of the bangings that they'd released. And it was like, oh man, that definitely sounds like someone hitting metal. And then today they're like, yeah, it imploded. Like as soon as they
found debris field.
As soon as they lost contact, it was gone. So now it's like, what was that? What was the banging? What is down banging on the Titanic?
Yeah. You've already got the equipment there. You might as well find out what.
Right. Yeah.
We should send 2 or 3
Let's
more
just dig a little
submersibles
deeper
down and just see what else we can find.
Probably shouldn't get those from Oceangate though.
So
probably not better.
I heard about the story, and I'm like, okay, yeah, something's missing, whatever. And then I remembered that Sarah and I had watched the CBS, this is my old man thing that I do, is we watch CBS Sunday morning, and they had this guy, David whoever, who had gone down and done a report on it earlier from last year, but it aired like 6 months ago. And I'm like, Sarah, I think we saw this. Like, I know I had this vague memory of I remember watching this report on this thing. And then we went back and watched the video, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is definitely it. And then this guy has, like, he did this one random report 6 months ago, and now he is the expert. Like, he has all of the video. He's talked to the CEO that's been, that was on the thing, and he's the hottest ticket in town to give the interview.
Yeah, he was on Fox News talking about it, and they were showing clips.
He'd been everywhere, and then people catch on, and they're like, this, Logitech $30 controller is what he's using, and he talks about the waivers he signs.
The people who make the off-brand PlayStation and Xbox controllers,
the Walmart
is what they, it's what they did. And the guy, unfortunately, the guy that was the CEO that lost his life on this thing, he was like, yeah, we bought this at Camping World, and we cut corners here and here and here, but none of this matters. We got all the safety side.
But they didn't, because the director of their, the Marine side, he was raising red flags like a month ago, saying the viewing window is only good for 1,000 meters depth, and the Titanic that you're wanting to go to is at 4,000, and they just fired the guy.
That's what I was going to say. Is like, do you think that that's true? All that stuff where he's well, this guy knows that we're full of it, so we're just going to fire him.
I don't know.
There's got to be a gray area there of like just letting somebody go because they bring, hey, you might die.
I'm not mad. Yeah. I'm honestly not mad at like the exploration or the idea of it. There's been all this talk of, well, these billionaires paid $250,000 a piece for their seats on it. There were 5 seats on the thing. And the way it usually operated is there were 3 paying passengers. So every time they dropped somebody down. So I'm sure they probably only got to go 5 or 6 times, 5 or 6 trips out. So you build this business model of you're subsidizing with, $750,000. Maybe they go down 4 times in a week and you get to do it 10 times in the summer. Very small window of time. But it's basically privately funded science. You've got a scientist down there that's doing research. You've got 3 people that are tourists that are paying for the thing, and then you got somebody that actually operated it. That part made sense to me.
Yeah.
And I can't get mad at it. And then it's, there are real risks of, it's more people have been on the surface of the moon than have been 13,000 feet below the sea. It's, this stuff used to happen, in 1492 when Columbus sailed the ocean blue, ships left and they never came back. We're just not used to it anymore.
Yeah. I want to know what kind of testing there was done on those. Like, cause, are they tests like, hey, this is on a computer, it says it should withstand this much pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they're only, is it a simulated test or is it just do they actually, it's like, hey, we're going to try to go down this many meters this time and just see what happens.
But I would have, obviously there's risks in it, but you'd have some confidence going, this thing went down however many times last year, the year before. It's not like you're on the very first launch.
But I think, did that version of it go down all the way to the Titanic?
The understanding, at least who the hell knows on the reporting, but the understanding I had was it was the same equipment. It's, there is one of these. It's not like there's a fleet of them.
Right.
It's not like Justin with his 3 pool vehicles. It's their,
right.
It's the one.
But did they all have the Camping World light? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I was wondering is if this version was a budget version or was it one of the ones that had already made the journey multiple times when I started looking into it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that would be the only question I'd have would be what was that testing?
Yeah. The understanding I had, and it would change it if they had multiple chassis, so to speak.
Right.
But if it was, this is the chassis and it's been down 2 or 3 years in a row,
right.
To me, I'm like, well, that's seaworthy or whatever. It was proven. Obviously it failed, but it was proven like it,
Yeah, but
it's only as good as the guy that put in the 17 bolts or whatever the hell it was too.
Yeah, I'd have more questions if the CEO hadn't been on it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like if the CEO was just like, well, guess 5 people died.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. No, he was confident enough to hop in, Elon Musk hasn't gone in one of his rockets
yet.
Yeah, that's a yet. I don't know. That's a good point. I mean, for as little as we know about it.
Yeah. And as is tradition, we deal with this through
He could have used that to fake his own death.
This maybe he was in Dakota saying that this is Dakota's words. I'm going to say it for him. He was in so much debt overall that he think that
they took that thing back up to the surface, got a jet boat to Aruba.
Yep.
And then
Newfoundland would have made more sense.
Scattered some debris from one of the test vehicles and let it ride.
I watched the press conference, the Coast Guard or whoever is giving their press conference, and they open it up, and the second lady to ask questions is like, well, what about the bodies? What are you going to do to bring up the bodies or whatever? And I'm like, they're there. Like, sorry, we're moving on. Story over. That's the part's done. Yep. Now, Dakota, are you pro or anti humor meme when these tragedies and these things come along? Because I feel like we as a society cope with it. We cope with trauma through humor, and that's a very human experience.
Well,
and some people cope with it by getting mad at the people that are making the memes.
Well, Justin, as a business owner, you don't need to comment. This is my comments only, and they're no reflection on Justin or his business. I was thinking that they were really funny, and there were some good reels on Instagram that were really funny. But like I said, we talked about this earlier, whenever all of them were coming out,
you still had hope.
They were banging every 27 minutes on the side of the boat. That's what we thought. and that they had 12 more hours. The Coast Guard was zeroing in on where the sound was coming from. There's pretty good. So, like, it was funny to have the idea and make the memes of, like, oh, the controller died and they've just been sitting at the bottom of the ocean waiting to be rescued for 5 days.
All right.
Yeah.
12 hours later,
Yeah.
we find out that they've been dead for 5 days.
I mean, if you
That
read,
was my next question.
Yeah.
Didn't they announce that it had went down or imploded or whatever, like right at the time they should have ran out of air, like when they were like, well, it doesn't matter if they're dead or alive now because they would have been out of
Yeah,
oxygen
they
if they're
did.
there.
Yeah.
So, but now we know it's
yeah.
imploded.
Well, they found it this morning. Allegedly, because it took time to get equipment in to be able to find it or whatever. So this morning they got there and found the debris field and verified it. And about the time they should have run out of oxygen is when when they broke the story. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It,
It just all lines up.
the news cycle was over. It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, we got to move.
It was
on.
going to end one way or another. You might as
Yeah.
well say, oh, we at least know what happened.
We've got comfort for the families, and you move
Yeah.
on,
Right.
and we can move on. We've.
Honestly, it would have been more disturbing if they had never found them, and then we all just thought that all 5 of them sat in this sarcophagus for 5 days, slowly running out of oxygen and getting hypothermia, freezing to death. That is a way worse death than just like pop, lights out.
Yeah, I mean, so David Pogue, I looked to make sure I got the name right. The CBS reporter that actually went down on a Oceangate submersible, whether it was this one or not.
That was the one that with the big window, though.
Yeah,
I think.
When Pogue went down on it, he said, "Look, there's like 7 different ways for it to come up, and some of them are automatic. They don't require any human intervention. So it was either, he nailed it. He said it failed down there and it's over, or it's stuck on something down there and there's no way to bring them back if it is, or it has resurfaced somewhere in the ocean and we haven't found it yet." And that was the best hope, was that it's resurfaced and they were going to find it in the ocean somewhere. Because if it was stuck, it's just, there's no recovery. And there definitely was no recovery in that window of time that they would have gotten it back. So I guess the story's complete. Now we can wait for the TV movie.
Netflix.
Yeah. Although it's tougher to tell the story if it just went away immediately. There's not much of a movie there.
Yeah, there's really not.
Yeah, they could do like a 4-part series on how it,
I guess we could. The story could be on the front end, the development.
Yeah, I was gonna say they could do the whole part 1 where this guy got fired, and then go into that, and this guy said it was this,
That's
iffy.
definitely either Netflix or Vice's great comeback.
Vice went down with the Oceangate. I believe it's also in bankruptcy.
Yeah, they are.
How would you like to be somebody on payroll at Oceangate when the CEO is gone, and you just like, well, are you going to go to work tomorrow?
Take the money and run. Imagine
Is
being their
anybody even
social
writing-
media manager.
Is anybody
right now.
even writing your checks this week?
You're the social media manager telling Twitter that your boss is dead. That's insane. What an insane position.
Last one out, turn out the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're never coming back from that. It's going to be like 2 generations before anyone else tries to do a startup like that. It is now.
I was thinking of that today.
They are now going to be like nuclear energy is now, where people are just so scared of it, even though it's
Sub-tourism,
like
you think, is
super
over?
safe. Yeah,
You think so?
for the Titanic.
There's such an allure there that I think people. There are only so many frontiers left, right?
What is
It's
the allure?
space or the deep sea.
Find a dirty coral-covered old boat.
Because you're a rich guy that can say that you've been to 13,000 feet. Or,
They said one of the
whatever.
guys that died had the nickname Mr. Titanic.
Yeah,
So he was like a huge Titanic.
he was the
buff.
pilot, and there was a guy that had brought back a bunch of artifacts.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole private, being like a private sector, dive, whatever. I think that's going to be that might take a little while to come back, but yeah, like he said, space or it's up or down, and I think that with the push for like now we're going to start taking people to space as joy rides. I think that's only going to push people to push harder to go down.
Yeah. Look, if you climb Mount Everest, you walk by a whole lot of dead people, and people do it every year.
Yeah.
But I think it's right now. It's May or June. Like the Everest climbing season is a very small window, and it's, you're going to have a certain number of people that try to make it and certain ones that don't, and it happens every single year. That's the human existence, man.
Yeah, pushing the limit.
Nobody went into this thinking it was completely safe either.
Yeah, wasn't?
Isn't that
what the CEO told the guy that was on Fox?
Yeah.
He was like, "Well, if you want to be safe all the time, just never leave your house."
Yeah, and I mean, to me, that's part of how I live life too. Is that there are no guarantees in anything.
Nope.
So if nobody innocently got in with an expectation of 100% safety.
No, sure.
It's if you're signing up for an Apollo mission back in the day, or if you're signing up for, we've lost 2 space shuttles in my life. I don't know how old you are, Justin, but in my lifetime, we've lost 2 space shuttles. It's like that. Like it's that.
Yeah.
It's exploration is.
I never would have been. You couldn't have paid me $250,000 to go down on that thing.
No,
there's no way. If it was like a naval submarine and it had been down there a bunch of times, sure. But once I get in that thing and that guy whips out a Logitech controller, I'd be like,
yeah.
See, I'm on the other side. Honestly,
this is not
if it was the same chassis and had gone down for 2 or 3 years in a row, I probably. It's like getting on to me, it's somewhere a little more dangerous than getting on a small airplane, which crash constantly, by the way.
Yeah.
Small planes crash in almost every state all the time.
Ocean's way scarier to me.
But it's the same.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, in my head, the idea of diving that far in the ocean is way more frightening. For some reason, like you said, outcome's the same, but in my mind, it's just way more scary.
Yeah, I would fly. I fly a ton.
Right.
I would fly before I would ever. I don't even want to do a cruise because I got to be able to see land or be able to swim there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that. I can't go. Not happening.
Even swimming in a lake, I'm never 100% comfortable.
I don't know about that.
You can't see my. I can't see my feet.
Lake? Oh, okay, yeah.
That's a Brookville problem for you.
I'm never I'm still having fun, but I'm always a little
Yeah, but what's in there? A walleye? You're going to lose a toe to a walleye bite? It'll be fine.
I've been on the boat and seen all kinds of snakes, and I just don't like snakes.
I don't do snakes.
They don't really like you either. I wouldn't worry.
The reason I don't like snakes because I'm not good at identifying snakes. If I was smarter and was like, oh yeah,
I don't like snakes.
There's a
I
snake.
don't like snakes. That's
just big old.
I don't want to identify it. I just don't want to touch it or be around it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into final thoughts. We're burning. We've burnt through almost all the daylight. Thank God it's June.
It's
and
after 9:00.
I know. This is why I'm trying to wrap you up here, Justin. If people want to get their car worked on, they want to come in. They want to see the next. What are you trying to turn into? You can be the next CarMax. What next Acre Auto Group? What's the?
It really just I don't know. It depends. So the overall goal,
Oceangate Auto.
Thank you for that. I
honestly, if you're going to take a minivan and turn it into it, I think you got to find that old Pontiac.
Yeah, I at some point.
A Pontiac.
At some point, submarine. I fully expect to see with the people and the comedians and the funny car stuff that I follow on the internet. I fully expect to see somebody in a piece of crap vehicle that slaps a big Oceangate sticker and drives it around on the side of it on one of my guys' pages that I follow. And just because that's basically what they're saying, is just made from a bunch of crap parts. But no, so before I sell it all, or before I get out of it, or I find somebody to take it over or partner with, I'd like to have 3 repair shops and 2 dealerships. Definitely not wanting to stay in Newcastle only. Talked to 2 different companies in Muncie, one on McGalliard and one that's kind of almost Yorktown. And the one on McGalliard, I can't believe he's still open. And nothing against him. It's like a 4-day-a-week thing, and I think it's just a hobby. And I think that's going to be one of the next steps. And then, other than that, it's just doing some research to see where we want to go from there. And it really just depends, because I'm really, and I know we're trying to wrap up, but it's like the one thought that runs through my head the more I do this is that, I'm really getting into like where my kids are getting older, where they want to do more stuff. And so like when they were younger, like I couldn't do any of this without my wife. Like no way. 'Cause she takes care of absolutely like everything at the house. She takes care of the kids. Like I don't have to worry about any of that, which makes it, you know what I mean? And so it makes building the business way, not easy, but easier because I can focus on it. And so part of that, it's like I want to grow that much more, but I find myself wanting to go and see my kids like soccer games and things like that. And when we're as backed up and as busy as we are, it makes it really hard because I also have that drive where, and I've got good people that work for me now that also have a good work ethic that I want to stay after and finish this customer's car because I know we're 2 days behind because, so-and-so called in or, couldn't get a part in time, whatever. And it's really a gray area for me is deciding on how quickly and how much further I want to grow because I find myself having to choose between some of those things.
Yep. Your brain wants money, your body wants rest, and your heart wants to spend time with your family.
Yeah. And the money thing, actually, I don't even think it's about, I know I've told people this, 100% true, it's not a money thing. Like I made probably more money at my smaller location than I make now, 100%. I honestly it's not a money thing. I just think it's really, I want to see how big I can take something that was nothing, and I don't mean nothing, but was not even open. Yeah, it was one. Yeah, and I just want to see how far I can take it. Like that's all I want to do is just see how big I can make it successful.
About the journey.
Yeah, the journey. Yeah, it's not a money thing. If I can make people have good livings, other people, along the way, and I can have a good life, great. But other than that, like I said, as my kids get older, they want to be in more stuff. My wife can't take care of it all. And just because we just can't, there's not enough bandwidth. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's not enough bandwidth there. And I went to a training this last week in Vegas for 3 days, 2 days. I was there 3 days. And I'm going to start reevaluating my own like work at the shop because like I look back at all the time that I waste that I could be trying to just make things easier and flow better and just to grow faster so I can have more spare time. And that's really where my focus is at, is just trying to get better efficiency at the shop so we can get people's cars out faster.
You need to have lunch with our Jesse Riddle, our other co-host, who's the IT efficiency expert.
Actually could help that with that.
That's exactly what he does. All right, so HoosierAutomotiveGroup.com. Call the shop if they want to schedule some auto service. I will say that Justin bailed our butts out last July or June, big time with the Tahoe. Helped us out. Went above and beyond.
Yeah, I remember. That was the rear end blow up.
We had the 2 rear diffs in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
ugly.
Yeah,
ugly. I still smell rear diff fluid in my sleep.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you still smell road diff fluid, we need to get that back in.
In my sleep.
Yeah, yell that out everywhere. It's fine. It's fine. But no, it's no. I've met, to be honest with you, man. Like I've made so many great friends through this, that between you and Forrest and Kevin and the Dave McClures and the there's so many people out there that like I've met just from working on their cars. And they're just
your repeat customers.
Well, it's not even that. It's just there's bad customers, but there's just some really good people out there that are just good people.
Yep.
And that's really one of the best parts.
Rewarding. Well, we're glad you're here and hung out with us for an evening, and hopefully some folks check you out. D Squared, you got anything for me?
I just wanted to say thanks for coming on, Justin.
Thanks for having me.
I had something. I lost it. Must not be important.
My takeaway, I think I said this in one of the wall group chats early on, is that it was the Oceangate thing was the world's worst Magic School Bus ever.
Oh my God!
It was the worst episode of Magic School Bus that was ever conceived.
That's a good one.
That's
a bad one.
Yeah, that's a bad one, but it's fun. I mean, I
haven't seen that meme.
It's a good comparison.
But that's what it was.
A good comparison.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. They went in the Titanic. or whatever. Like, because I was like, if they're stuck somewhere, I thought Magic School Bus, the accident went in it, they're stuck in the ship, and that's the end
So
of the
if I
episode.
follow you on TikTok or something like that, are you gonna make a meme?
This is it. All of the content creation that I
Yes.
have goes into this.
Okay.
Answering the bell to make this show happen every
So much
Thursday.
judgment was going to get placed on you from so many people if you made that.
Yeah, I can take that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll just share it here on the podcast.
Yeah.
We're back next Tuesday night next week because 2/3 of the core group is going to be heading to Mid-Ohio, hopefully to watch
I remembered what my final thoughts were.
Alex Pillow win another race.
We went to Mount Lawn Speedway
Yes.
this weekend, and it was a great time. It was the fan appreciation night. Had an awesome time. It was $10 to get in for an adult.
Did you see Zach's incredible Hooters car? Zach
I don't think so.
didn't?
I didn't see a Hooters car.
Well, it's a Hooters livery. It's really not. I think it's the Halstead Home Improvements car. But it was the Hooter livery from Alan Kowicki.
I saw your brother. Your brother was there. But no, it was like $10 for an adult to get in, free for kids under 8. It was a great time. Had a lot of fun. Jackson had an awesome time. We didn't stay super long because he was ready to go home. But yeah, it was a good time. Just go out there.
You enjoyed your short track night.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to send Dakota back to Zach's desk.
Yeah.
And take us off the air. It's been fun. We'll be back on Tuesday night. Bear with us in July. A lot of summer travel, a lot of kid stuff going on, but we're gonna do as many shows as we possibly can. And I think we're gonna have a special one next week. So with that, we say thank you guys very much. If you haven't joined the Patreon, check it out. There's some cool stuff over there, and it literally is the way this show gets on the air. So thank you all very much. We'll see you next Tuesday.